kids keep me busy, job keeps me busy, wife keeps me busy. So
Yeah. Um, Let me just make sure everything's working. Hopefully it is. Let me just make sure everything's working. Shit. Okay. All right. So we are live. That means no racist shit, okay?
you don't hear that.
Yeah, like I said,
What are
nobody
you
ever
streaming on?
YouTube and Twitch, I think it is. I don't really know. To be honest, I started streaming only because I wanted to get people to talk to me about politics. This was like years ago. This was just before COVID. I really just want to get people to talk to me about politics, and I found that like if you're like, hey, I have a stream, more people are willing to talk politics with you. So
Yeah, well, truth be told, I didn't know you had a stream, but there's still no difference to me either way.
yeah.
You just said you want to talk. Okay, sure.
Yeah. I actually, it's been like what 3 weeks now. I don't I remember what the topic was. I don't remember exactly
I
what our points were to each other.
I kind of forgot too. Well, I think it was mostly on the topic of the need for progressive policies, but
Yeah.
they're not like a magic wand.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I can give you just a rundown of what I believe because, like, I am probably, I would guess, harder on the Democratic Party than you are, maybe. Because those the people that like don't recognize how badly the Democratic Party's fucked up and how detrimental it would be and has been recently because they keep fucking up and they keep fucking up in like the same way year after year after year, election after election after election. Um, and it's just kind of frustrating to me. But yeah, I've been going on this like establishment, anti-establishment, populist rant, but I think today I came up with new words from what I believe, and that is I think that the Democratic Party really needs to embrace change candidates versus like what I've been calling nibble around the edges candidates. And if they don't do that, I think they're going to lose. And if they keep losing this way, they're going to eventually lose the party to a Trump-like figure, but for the left.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I could see where you're coming from. I think one of the kind of blessings and curses of the Democratic Party is that it is a big tent party. Is that we do have progressives, while at the same time we have people like what Josh Gottheimer and other people, like even mentioned for a while. And it's kind of been in this transition since the '90s from kind of going from a party that maybe had a little bit of progressives, maybe not much, but also having a lot of kind of legacy Dixiecrat seats too. So that's kind of been a little bit of a transition for them. But as far as like leadership, because one thing that's like not ideological, whether you're like progressive or liberal or moderate, is moderate, as I think people want the perception of a fighter. I think that's
yes,
probably what most people want,
yeah,
and that I can understand. However, like for example, like I have disagreements with Hakeem Jeffries, but I also follow Hakeem Jeffries on um, Twitter, and he does do a lot of the things that people are asking him to do. It never shows up in media, and so that doesn't mean that there's like legit criticism of how he could do better and stuff. But it's kind of like there has to be an avenue for it. There has to be an avenue for people to see your fight.
yeah,
So
absolutely. So picking somebody, putting people up that can message is an incredibly important part of it, and I think that's another thing that that the Democrats often fail at. I mean, Joe Biden wasn't a great messenger. Kamala Harris wasn't a great messenger. Um, and that's like a part of it. I honestly, I truly believe that there is just like so many little things that's wrong with the Democratic Party that keeps them from not just like winning, but like consistently winning the way we need to consistently win in order to both keep out the fascists and be able to make progress in this country. So messaging, it's not even like a progressive versus like centrist thing in my mind, because I think that we can run centrist in like purple and even like light red areas and win. But they do have to be, like you said, a fighter. But when I say fighter, I don't just mean fighting Donald Trump and fighting Republicans. I mean, they've got to fight the institutions, the rules, regulations, and norms that stop them from fulfilling their campaign promises. One of the big things that I feel like really costs the Democrats is they can't, they seem like they'll promise and promise and promise, and then when they get onto the in office, they can't deliver, and then they'll blame something like the filibuster. Oh, what was me? What can I do? There was nothing we could do. We had Joe Manchin. You mentioned Joe Manchin. I honestly believe that like absolutely for like the health of the country, having Joe Manchin instead of a Republican is 100% better. But optically for the Democrats, when you have a trifecta and you still fail to deliver on a whole lot of things because of a Democrat, that's just optically looks bad. And I think that the Democrats would have looked better if they just didn't have Congress, and they could have just been like, oh yeah, we don't have Congress, so we can't do anything.
You think it would have been better if they had have taken like a more hardline stance against Manchin?
I mean, maybe it's not like anything would have been any different. Manchin's out, and there's a Republican now, right?
Yeah, correct. But I meant like more so during Biden's term.
Yeah, there would have been no difference in like I guess maybe Manchin could have been spiteful and not have gotten where we are. It honestly probably wouldn't have made a difference. Now optically it could have made a difference for the Democratic Party, but it probably wouldn't have made a difference when it came to like policy and actually getting things passed. But if the Democrats had stood together and been like, we don't like that this part of our party, it would have been better optically, in my opinion.
Like, don't get me wrong. Like, there's like lots of optical things that I think there aren't going to also make a difference, but they're good to do. Like, I remember back when Al Green did the whole interruption of Donald Trump. It's like they shouldn't have even gave any serious thought to like censure him or whatever they did.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It's so yeah, and even right now with the whole thing with Virginia, like I think one good thing would have been said, like even if there wasn't anything you can do right now, like say we're going to explore other options. We're not, this is the fight isn't over.
Hmm.
There's just something as simple as that can reiterate, like hey, these people are still fighting, and
Yeah.
and
Well, they are actually. I think that they're looking into putting a term limit or a age
yeah,
cap on Supreme Court
yeah,
now.
the 54, yeah, the age 54 thing. It's
Yeah.
like I'm like, hey, go for it.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
at this point, it's like all or nothing, and it's no longer the Bush days where you did kind of have a collaboration between um every once in a while for between Republicans and Democrats for good things. Like people think about Citizens United. That one overturned the McCain-Feingold Act. That's one where he had like a pretty decent amount of Republican support, from John McCain, and that one had 60 votes. It's like things like that, you know, can be good things.
Yeah.
and but it no longer exists that way where the Republican Party is primarily just an obstructionist party, and with that, um, because like I'm trying to balance between two things. It's like I understand the need for Democrats to be better fighters. At the same time, to get what we want, we need more Democrats in office, and that requires us to having a balanced way in which we apply fire. Because I feel like in too many of like not just streaming spaces, but even on mainstream media, there's it's kind of hard to explain. Well, I guess it's not that hard to explain it. It's like there's a clear problem where you have your right wingers where they're like, the Democrats want to trans your kids and start the new world order, and then you have your centrist, like your what's that guy on Bill Maher, where he's like, the Democrats are too woke, and Sam Harris is like, they're give too much to Muslims, and then you have your CNNs, which are like, hey, I want to give both sides of the aisle equal time, and then they're also doing stories on like, one family that can't pay for its 12 gallons of milk a week and stuff like that, and so, and then even on progressive and leftist spaces, it's like it's beyond just they're not fighters. It's like there's no difference between Republicans and Democrats, and it's like, yeah, I can understand why there's not like a lot of positive polling for the Democrats. I do think them having the even just the appearance of fighters, even when they can't really put up a fight, is good because that is something you do see from Republicans, even when they don't necessarily have anything going, like with Benghazi, they'll fight tooth and nail, even if it's not really of consequence.
Yeah. And I mean, we both watch Destiny, so we both know how fucked. We both probably have the same opinions about how fucked the media ecosystem is. Where conservatives can just like control the narrative. I don't know what is going on to where we don't have somebody every day on the main Fox News channels just pushing back on their bullshit. I don't know if it's that our people don't want to do it because they're afraid they're going to lose and they look bad, or if it's that Fox News just or other places like that curate their lineup in a way that prevents Democrats from being able to infiltrate and put out those ideas and facts to their audience, which would be the smart for Fox News. But
It's
I
probably a mix of both, honestly.
I feel like if
Like it's
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would be like, "Hey, Greg Gutfield, I want to go on your show," you would do that, right? Like,
I I I would hope so. Like I would think so. Like we have seen Bernie on there. We've seen Buttigieg on there. Um, However, it's not often. I still don't think Bernie or Buttigieg would like not pick up the phone or not come if they're like if they're say wanted to have a discussion with them. But I do think it's a mix of both. Some don't necessarily want to have that kind of confrontational thing because they're not that media savvy. Like they can operate in a debate environment or like a professional debate environment for like primaries and midterms and yeah, in general elections. But still with that, you can have people who are specialized to be like who can be specialized to be messengers for your party. um and that to me kind of is a criticism of it as a whole, not just from the more establishment, but even from the more progressive types too. Because a lot of times when they do want to speak truth to power, it's usually on a much more left leaning show, and it's like, okay, let me just crap on the establishment. And it's like, okay, you can do that, but um, you're probably not going to see like Rashida Tlaib on Fox.
People like Rashida Tlaib should be going on Fox. And honestly, if the entire Democratic Party just can't do it, then a lot of them need to be replaced with people that can, because we need people who can go into those spaces and convince their audience that we're right and they're wrong. Like that's basically what it comes down to. And I know for sure that the Chuck Schumers and even like the Nancy Pelosi's, as good as she was at governing, I know that like those types of people, they don't have it in them. And you mentioned Pete Buttigieg. Like, I love him for his ability to be able to go and go on these spaces and like just do well there. We need more of that. That is definitely one thing that we need.
And like I won't like disagree with you on that, because I do think like these people like in their like mid to late 70s and 80s, and we're trying to have a teach a dog new tricks and stuff. And so with Schumer, it's like he's a 75-year-old Jewish man. It's like he doesn't need AIPAC. He's gonna have those kind of more right wing views on Israel Palestine. That's not something, and he's also not. He's never really had that type of attitude to be like a very confrontational person, and so even when I do like see him on Twitter trying to do it, like it's like he is doing it, but it's like it doesn't. You're not used to seeing it like that, so he doesn't seem natural. And then when Nancy Pelosi came in, she came in under Bush and was met with a standing ovation from both Democrats and Republicans, because she came in as a majority leader. She never started as a minority leader. And so sometimes that kind of shapes how they fight and how they do things. We all remember the very cringe kneeling with the kente cloth during the BLM riots and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I mean, it's definitely like a time for a new guard. I think that's also representative of Biden's presidency too. Is honestly he probably should have ran in 2016, if I'm just being honest. Even if it was just him going against Hillary, it would have been an interesting primary. I don't know if we would have had the Bernie movement though. That's the other thing. But they did think people wanted during that time they wanted like an alternative to Hillary Clinton, where Joe Biden was like he was Uncle Joe, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
And like the Democrats also have it. I wouldn't say rough, but they had the last two presidents besides Biden was Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, two very abnormally charismatic presidents. Especially if you compare them to Bush, both of them, junior and senior. Reagan Reagan was, he's a former actor, but it's like maybe it was probably just because I'm a more liberal, but I've heard his speeches. I've never like heard him like, okay, he sounds very motivating. I can understand why people like Trump though, as far as his talk and his cadence and how he does things. But yeah, ultimately, it is gonna have to have like a generation of fighters. And even if you can't get, say, 50 or 60 Democrats who can message that way, at least have 10, and they're the ones that are always in front of the camera.
Yeah. Yeah, not everybody's going to be able to be those fighters. There's going to probably be a mix. But when you got like Chuck Schumer putting people like Janet Mills up for election, 6-year-old woman, to try and beat Graham Plattner, who, like, I'm just from what I've heard, I'm very sus of Plattner. Like, I hope for the best because he's the nominee now. But he has shown very poor judgment, like in his past, and then he denied the knowing about the tattoo, and apparently there was evidence that he did know what that tattoo was. So, like, a little bit of dishonesty there. I'm not okay with that. Like it's a little sussy that you coming off like a Nazi in the first place, and now you're being dishonest about it. Like, ugh. I can understand. Like, I reformed myself, but like that should have been what you led with. But yeah, he put Janet Mills up of all people, like, and like the fact that he doesn't recognize that his endorsement seems toxic. Like if he's putting somebody up, it's going to be a chain, a ball and chain around that candidate's ankle. And it just seems like he so badly wants to still be like the it man, and he's not willing to give that up.
I mean, yeah, he's not very charismatic either. I mean, like like you said, it is a new age as far as what we're expecting from leaders, because most people don't even know what they know what Mike Johnson sounds like, but as far as what's the name of the Republican guy that's over the Senate?
Oh, I don't even know his
Um,
name.
yeah, most people don't know his name. They don't know what he sounds like, and it's like, even going back to the previous like going to, like, he was from Wisconsin. Trying to think of his name. Paul Ryan. He was over my district. Even John Boehner. None of these guys really scream charisma, but that might be something that Democrats need, because Republicans can, like, they have a whole media system where they're gonna make even a turd sound great,
Yeah.
but Democrats are gonna have to learn how to, okay, we've got to have the correct messengers out there, as well as having a messaging apparatus too, because um, I know that for a few things, even for Obama, there are a few things where he was telling people the things that he did, but nobody really cared about those stories. They wanted to focus on tan suits and other crap, and even, like, I do think one of the biggest reasons, besides, say, Joe Lieberman and other people like that, why we didn't get the public option under Obama, even with like as good of a personality as he had, is because of a lot of media coverage wanted to entertain the idea of death panels and other things,
Well, yeah, they just straight
and
up lied about ACA. I remember those commercials. I remember there was a commercial of a woman who had her leg in stirrups, and you just saw, like, from the view of, like, if she was looking down at her legs, and then Uncle Sam was coming up from in between her legs, and they were like, "Is this how you want your health care?" And it was like Obamacare, anti. I'm just like, just thinking back on that, but like, if the Democrats had just stuck to their guns, kept their promise, got rid of the filibuster so that they could pass Obamacare with a public option, people would have seen that, oh, I have the option to stop paying $300 a month for my healthcare and just go on to the public option. That would be like a quick and tangible improvement in people's lives, to where I think that it wouldn't have taken as much political capital to actually pass what they promised than as it did to pass the half measure that we ended up getting. I think that there would have been more people willing to. I mean, even me, I was a Obama supporter in 2008 because I thought it was stupid that we had to pay for healthcare the way we were. But I was like 16 at the time. So I couldn't vote. But then in 2012, I still voted for Obama. But I remember telling my uncle, I was like, well, he's the lesser of two evils. Like, even back then, it was like, in my mind, in my admittedly young and naive mind, it was the lesser of two evil voting. And ever since then, it's just felt that way, because the Democrats haven't put up anyone that, like, I'm excited for. I've just been not wanting Trump as a president, and And that's no way to keep a coalition together. And we've seen that's no way of keeping a coalition together, because Kamala Harris didn't lose to Trump. She lost to the fucking couch. If she had gotten just as many people to show up to vote as Biden did, she would have won, but she didn't.
Yeah, I mean, like, even with that, is like there's like multiple factors. Like, even when mentioning the, like, even Obama now is talking about we need to get rid of the filibuster, and I think now is probably the time that it, if there ever was a time where it actually would be put in practice, where they would actually get rid of it, because during Obama's term, you did have Harry Reid trying to push for a lot of policies to be exempt from the filibuster, if not try to get rid of it. The problem is he had a whole bunch of blue dogs who just didn't want to play ball with him. That was the other thing. And so we're having this where I think messaging can come in, is like what Obama should have said is like, hey, we've got 49 or 46 Democrats in the Senate who are willing to end the filibuster. We need more in office. Even if that was inevitable that you're going to lose those seats because of backlash to incumbents in general, just having that messaging out there is still a good thing. It shows that you're concerned about getting towards your goal versus getting further and further from your goal, because a lot of times people don't know the process, and because people don't know the process, they'll don't understand how close we are to things, where if we are able to, say, flip a few seats, we can have that. But that's also part of the messaging.
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame the Democrats for the American people not knowing how this process works. But like, even I didn't know back in 2016 that like we didn't get the public option because of a filibuster. Like who, like,
Yeah, like it literally passed the House.
Yeah. I guess the thread that you and I ended up disagreeing, or ended up talking to each other on, was the thread about the Pod Save America interview with the head of the DNC. And my opinion on that was that I think that guy, whoever, I forgot it, Martin, is like emblematic of so much that was wrong. And that interview was emblematic of so much that's wrong with the Democratic Party. Do you disagree?
Like, yes and no, because at the end of the day, he made a promise, and if you're going to make that promise, you're coming to an interview, you got to be prepped to give a good answer, even if it's like, hey, I understand that people want us to release it. There's a lot of stuff in here that's not really going to satisfy a lot of people. It's going to cause a lot of infighting, and therefore I'm not going to do it, and I'll take responsibility for that. Like, but he didn't, and just kind of appeared defensive to a lot of people, and so it comes off bad.
Well, I think that even like just the act of not releasing it is bad enough in and of itself, even if he could have a good message behind it. I think that that's like, why not release it? Like think about his answer to that question. Why didn't we release it? Well, we looked at it ourselves and we decided what was important in it, and we passed it on to the people. Like, what? Why not just release it?
It also doesn't help that Harris also said that they should release it too.
Well, they should. Wait, she said they should or shouldn't?
They should.
Yeah, they should. Like,
they should.
like it's just, it seems so obvious to me. And for some reason Martin is just missing it, which makes me think, and I'm putting on a tinfoil hat here, that there's something in that report that he just doesn't want out, and that like maybe his friends in politics doesn't want out.
I mean, if I what I think is, so there have been reports that a lot of it is going to be very dissatisfactory, no matter what your views are, whether you're more centrist or more modern or say more progressive and leftist. What I think this probably in the report is a lot of mixed bags where everybody and anybody could kind of take what they want, but still, you just release it. You know, you lick your wounds, but yeah.
But if there's a report out there that says all of these different people could take something from this report and it means that like and say this is why you lost, it probably means that there's a lot of changes that need to be done for the Democratic Party. Because if there's a lot of reasons why they lost, then there's a lot of things that need to be changed. And it would be helpful for people like us to know, like, from a, much more scientific standpoint, what those things were. And we can fight with the IP people who want to make it just about Israel, Palestine. We can fight with the Medicare for all people who think that who's going to use it and think that it's all about Medicare for all. People like you and me, we'd be able to look at that report and be like, oh yeah, these are all the changes that need to be made. I don't see where that's a big deal for it to be out there like that, even if it isn't unsatisfactory.
I mean, like I said, the thing that really makes it kind of worse is the person who lost the election also said you should release it
Absolutely.
too, and so it doesn't help. But yeah, they ultimately should release it. Um, because I mean, I just don't see the benefit in holding on to it. You know, it's maybe because I know there was like a little bit of a kind of report that was done in 2020, and I do know that people were using it against progressives. Um, you might remember people were
Yeah, the
saying
trans stuff.
defund the police. Yeah,
Oh,
defund the police
oh
stuff.
yeah. Yeah, no, actually,
So
Abigail Spanberger tried to say that she barely won her Senate race because of defund the police, and
yeah.
that kind of pissed me off a little bit because, like, come on, Spanberger, like, you don't blame defund the police because you barely won it. You couldn't get more votes.
Mhm. And another interesting thing about that election was there there were some um, candidate quality wins for Democrats, as in like the Republican who was in the election was so out there that yeah, a Democrat was going to win. Like and was it Alabama
There's a bunch of
where you
different
had Roy
places.
Moore who was like yeah, well, I'm just saying for example, like Roy Moore,
Yeah,
um he he's a Republican who loses because people saw him as like a creep who's into teenage girls, you know. So
well, he was a
that's how
creep that
Doug
was into
Jones went.
teenage girls.
Yeah,
And was it that
yep,
the person they called Trump with heels that tried to challenge the election results after she lost? I don't remember her
yeah.
name.
The one from Arizona.
Yeah.
I forgot her name, but yeah, she lost the governor's seat and the Senate seat. So yeah, and I know there was one person who complained about AOC and defund the police, but I'm like, you're also a person who won because the Republican who's been winning that seat for like the past 10 years, if not more than that, had like a huge scandal, and that's really why you won. And you can't really blame it on the fund the police if you're in a very conservative district, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, on that point, when we won, well, when we lost the 2022 midterm elections, the Democratic establishment, the people in the party were celebrating. They said because they didn't lose as badly as they thought they would. I think that this willingness to settle for, oh, we didn't lose as bad, is also like a problem. We lost the House during that election. We kept the Senate. We lost the House during that election, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, that's a loss.
That's right.
And the fact that they took that as what we're doing is fine, instead of we lost the House, which is the supposedly the popular vote um branch of Congress, but with gerrymandering, blah blah blah. But the fact that we lost the House should have been like a an alarm, should have set off alarms in the Democratic Party, but it didn't. It was cause for them to pat themselves on the back, and that drove me crazy then. And I'm wondering how you look at that.
I mean, it's kind of a mixed bag for me because it's always more difficult to win those in between incumbent elections. At the same time, not just in 22, but even how it translates to now is Democrats have a lack of a 50 state strategy, as well as a problem with certain types of consultants that they use when it comes to running elections. And the consultants ultimately determine where you campaign at, which shows or local programming you decide to be on. Like in 2022, sorry.
Rip, ripperoni.
Trying to see how I can get back on. All right, am I back?
You're back. Welcome back.
Oh yeah, my wife called me in the middle of this. Like I told her what I was doing, but she decided. Um, I forgot what I was even about to say.
You
Oh yeah,
were
a
talking about 50
lack of
state
oh, yeah,
strategy.
consultant. Yeah. So like one of the issues in my states was we had a progressive candidate by the name of Mandela Barnes, who was running here in Wisconsin, and he there didn't really seem whoever was like running his campaign didn't seem to focus on a lot of high turnout blue areas. So like he's from Milwaukee, and even though Milwaukee's have like an issues with like population going down, if you're from Milwaukee, you should have a record turnout because you're on the programs there, you're on the radio stations, you're doing what you need to do. But his consultants wanted him to kind of play it a lot more safe because he's also a black candidate in Wisconsin. But it's like at the end of the day, there's always going to be a cap on who you can get, and and I know it's not just his election. So there's a lot of like Democrat consultants who are like that, as well as sometimes the DNC didn't necessarily pour as much money into his race as they should have. Like they poured it into the Florida race, which they didn't really have any chance. Whereas here they actually had it. And then how it ties into 2026 when you don't have a 50 state strategy, and try to protect as many seats as you can, you do something stupid like not having someone to run against in college, which should be something obvious. And that's how you end up at the last minute trying to get Mills in. And from what I heard, there was another candidate who was supposed to go, who was still like a liberal, but would have been like a better fit for that role because he's a lot younger, and they kind of pushed him aside because they panicked and they didn't really have they didn't really have a strategy in Maine of all places, and they chose Mills because she was the governor, and so you're having all these kind of needless mistakes that are happening, and that's how you get a Plattner, and even then criticism of progressive, it's like y'all need better um background checks for your candidates. That's really what it comes down to. You need to have better ways of being able to scope out previous things that your candidates have done and said before.
That is
But
true.
yeah, it doesn't really. Yeah.
But
Okay, you go ahead.
it does seem like progressive candidates tend to not be like handpicked by whatever you would consider the progressive leadership to be. Is I don't think that the DSA is like out there. You're gonna be the candidate for Senate in Michigan, the same way that like Schumer would go up to a Mills or the head of DNC or whatever goes up to a Mills, be like, hey, you want to run for this? I think that progressives tend to latch on to their candidates when they have a message that progressives feel like it's worth latching on to. Which is why we ended up with Plattner, because he had a good message, a working class message that
But
progressive.
also is like one thing you might notice is his style of speaking too. A lot of people who maybe not have grown up watching wrestling is he talks like a wrestling face. You know, it's the opposite of a wrestling heel who's like the bad guy in a um like a wrestling storyline. So he talks like Hulk Hogan if you ever
Yeah,
like hear him that's like he has like that sort of cadence and like okay he's a fighter, you know, he's a guy who's really gonna work some things up, and I think that's one of the which is kind of like an unknown talent from here that most people don't really seem to recognize. But yeah, it's yeah, and even when it comes to like Donnie winning, like I mean, there was from what I know, there's probably a few DSA candidates that could have ran in the mayoral race, but only he really stuck out. Only he really came out, and that was because of his sort of his history with media, especially with from his mother, and knowing how to message, and because it was almost like almost movie esque, but still felt real and authentic.
yeah, and yeah. So you mentioned Graham. Did you see his attack ad against Collins?
No, I have not.
It is the most pro wrestling thing I've ever seen in politics, and we have the pro wrestling president. Like it is literally something that you would think
Yeah,
Goldberg would have put out against his WrestleMania opponent.
you know, you know what? Like deeply psychologically, it's like that is probably what people are in a sense looking for when they mean fighter. You
Yeah, I
know,
was hyped.
it's yeah, it's like you got to have somebody who's motivating you and getting you excited. You know, oh, he's stepped into the ring. What is he gonna do? He's gonna beat up the bad guys. You know.
Yeah. But yeah, I think authenticity is another thing that the Democratic Party is really missing, especially with their old guard, their more establishment, their nibbled around the edges candidates. Alexandra Ocasio Cortez was asked, "What are your about her political ambitions?" And I really loved her answer. She said something to the tune of, "Senators, presidents, they come and go, but Medicare for all is forever," which like shows me that she is like authentically out there fighting for Medicare for all. Whereas like, you know, there was questions about whether Obama was actually fighting for Medicare for all. For me as like a young person, I can look back with like 2020 hindsight and be like, okay, well, these were all the wheels that were turning
Yeah,
that disallowed him to, and
but
it's
people aren't gonna know the
understandable.
details.
Yeah, but in the moment, you're not going to know that. So the politician, it's up to the politician to
Mhm.
carry themselves in a way to where even if we're not getting it right now, we know that you're out there fucking fighting for it, and you're giving it your all. And I think that answer is that she had is good for that kind of thing. Whereas when I look at Biden, did he even try to spend any political capital on healthcare? I guess we had that diabetic thing for old people. But what the fuck did that do for me?
I mean, yeah, I mean, really, the main thing was like expansion of Medicare and Medicaid, which a lot of times I was shut down by certain states. But
Well, that
yeah,
was
it's
that was
that's really it. So
2008.
yeah, he
Biden
didn't
didn't do
really
that,
have
did
a
he?
message. no, Biden during his presidents during his presidency actually did have executive orders and some laws in place that expanded the coverage for Medicare and Medicaid.
Oh, that's interesting.
Um, but however, he didn't really message on it, and it's still if you don't really message on it, people aren't going to know what's happening, and so and even
Yeah.
then, it still doesn't address the people who are uninsured and underinsured too. Um, like they have things like Cobra, but it's not cheap, and so yeah, there's definitely gotta like she she like gives really good answers, and I will when it comes to the party, there's like these two clashing things that they do at the same time. They care about seniority, while at the same time, it is to me it's obvious that the party is promoting AOC for higher office. Like whether it's to eventually succeed Chuck Schumer, having her go to that international forum where people were giving her crap for it, but it's like I wasn't really bothered by any of her answers. It's just some of these questions aren't you know they aren't going to be the easiest thing to answer, but it's because even within my state, um, we have Greta Newbauer and we have Kellen Haywood. Greta is 33, but I believe, took office while she was in her 20s as basically the highest position in our lower assembly. And then Kellen Haywood, he was 19 years old, and he was basically the vice leader of like our state party. I do think that there's like a way for like younger people to get in, but I also think sometimes because the Democrats aren't good at recruiting young people, they're kind of passive. That's why you end up losing a lot of them to DSA and other organizations. So where you can have a lot of young energy.
So are you saying that Democrats are like starting to get better at that than they used to be? Because like they, if I remember correctly, they didn't allow AOC to have a high ranking position and the I forgot which committee it was. They passed her over for a guy because of seniority, like you
Yeah.
said. And
Yes.
he ends up
And
losing his
so
election. Like
yeah. So like I'm not in the. So yeah. That's why I said there's a duality where they are kind of building up some young leaders while at the same time they're still doing archaic things like seniority.
yeah,
And it's
and
not
they
just AOC. There's um a lot of candidates who are like under 45 who should be in those positions, but they end up getting looked over for like um people who are I feel like this is one key difference between Democrats and Republicans. And Republicans, if you're young and you got energy, they don't care. Like what's the name? Like Trey Gowdy wasn't that old when he was basically leading almost every Benghazi hearing, and they understand how to use their young talent, or at least young as far as congressional age, whereas Democrats don't necessarily know how to put them at front and center, and it does seem like them putting AOC up front is headed in the right direction, but there's still a lot of work to be done.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, even Buttigieg isn't that old.
I would love for Buttigieg to get a high ranking position and like to run for something. Like he's not really in any type of position right now. I would vote for him in the primaries. What is your opinion of? Okay, so we're in the world of primaries right now. Gavin
hmm
Newsom.
I mean, I'm not as harsh on candidates as a lot of people. So like, I'm fine with them. Like, I don't really have any issues. Like, there's some things that probably like I know there's the issues with billionaire taxes, and like he could have had like a, even if it might have been necessarily not the best thing for the state, could have messaged in a better way to be like, hey, you know, there is a better way for us to hold them accountable and stuff like that. But there is there isn't really like a Democratic candidate that I'm really hard on, because it's like there's so much media where people are hard on them, and it's like I'm okay, you know.
So I'm hard on Democratic candidates because I am of the belief that if we keep up the same shit that we're doing now, we're gonna win 2026. Like that's pretty much in the bag at this point. But if the Democrats continue to look at a win in 2026 and say, "Oh, we got to keep doing what we're doing," then we're going to lose 2028 or 2020 or 2032, and that's unacceptable unless the Republicans somehow get back to a point where they're like Bush era or Reagan era Republicans and the party takes their shit back from MAGA. That is unacceptable. Like we can't lose 2026, we can't lose 2028, and we can't lose 2032. Like we have to win so many times in a row so that Republicans will get the message that not only is MAGA not going to win you seats anymore, you have to come a little bit towards the center. Maybe Medicare for all is, or public option, or whatever it turns out to be, is something that people like, and you need to stop trying to defund this shit. Of course, the American population is kind of stupid. They don't even give a fuck that we defunded USAID, which drives me crazy.
Well, the thing is, like, I think Democrats have to stop being afraid of making the Republican brand toxic, like because Republicans don't care to make the Democratic brand toxic. They will do it with just a flip of a hat, a flip of a coin. They don't care. And I remember when Biden was like saying, or even Schumer was like saying, hey, I go to I go to the gym with these people, and I talk to my Republican colleagues. Like at some point, it's like you do have to realize that they are in their capacity acting as enemies of the people, and what their policies do to people. The positive thing is, even Obama, who still has a lot of like a lot of influence on a party, is calling for ending the filibuster. You
Yeah.
know, and so that's like I wish it had have happened earlier, but I think this environment has definitely pushed it towards that. I think it should have been recognized a long time ago that these guys do not want or even care to work with you. They are an obstructionist party. There's no longer the days of John McCain and Mitt Romney where they'll work with you on a few things. So those days are over. And so the thing is you gotta appear as a fighter, and you've got to make their brand toxic and tell everybody the things that they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
I never really saw the Democratic Party as like afraid of that. I just thought they were incapable. Um, but I also think that if we elect somebody like Gavin Newsom, fair or unfair to Gavin, I think that if we elect somebody like Gavin Newsom, he's not going to be seen as a change candidate. Now, don't get me wrong, he's done some great things. Has done some good things for California. I think Prop 50 is amazing for the zeitgeist of how we're dealing with the Republican Party. But I do think that he is not going to be seen as a change candidate. And even if he wins in 2032, especially if he can't get things done, then America's going to continue going downhill, and the Democrats are going to be blamed again, and then we're just going to be right back around the circle. And every time a Republican gets in, they're able to do more damage than we are able to make progress. So every time we have these back and forths, especially if it's one term versus one term, and we don't even get two terms in a row, Republicans are winning. Like that's a win for Republicans.
yeah, I agree with you, but I think part of it is leadership and messaging, and the other part is having the media apparatus too. Because I don't think someone like Trump is as effective as he is without your Fox Newses, your Alex Jones, your One America, and Newsmax. Because even when he clearly messes up, they run cover for him. And I'm not saying that us as Democrats we should be acting like a cult. I'm just saying that um, the leader, the president, has to be messaging on here's the thing we want, and here's why it's good, or here's a good thing that we've done, and here's why I did it, and here's the Republicans who didn't want to do this thing. They have to repeat it. Then there has to be an media apparatus that repeats it too. And so, like say for some reason gave you did like a brain implant and Gavin Newsom had Plattner's energy when it comes to messaging and stuff. It's like he'll be able to fend off some attacks, but there is going to have to be some type of like apparatus um that gets your message out, and you do have to, like you said, be a messenger of change, and that is difficult when you're like in the office and you're the incumbent, but
It
that's
shouldn't be. No, it
that's
should not be. If you are in office, you should be willing to look at the situation that Americans are in, the things that Americans are saying, and be like, yeah, I'm fucking up with that. I'm not doing enough. I'm going to do more. I think the Americans would have a whole hell of a lot more respect for that than they did for the way Biden ended up handling shit, where he was like, well, look at my numbers. My numbers are good. I mean, even Trump can't get away with that shit, as we're seeing.
yeah.
And
No, no,
Kamala Harris should have been able to sit there and say on The View, oh yeah, Biden's great. He's done a lot of great things, but here's how I would be different. It was so obvious that we needed a change candidate. I say the same thing for 2016. It was so obvious we needed a change candidate. Putting somebody in that was just the status quo. It was like the downfall of the Democratic Party right now. And in 2020, it's a little less clear because we had the change candidate and he fucked everything up. So I have a feeling the change candidate probably would have won, but they probably would have won a little less comfortably than, you know, a status quo president, where I'm going to take you back before this, Trump candidate that Biden was. But like it seems so, it's at the time, even in 2016 and 2024, change candidate was what America was looking for, and that's what they're going to be looking for in 2028. Anyone's probably going to be able to win unless Trump finds a way to turn this ship around. Anyone's going to be able to win against the Republican nominee in 2028, but it's not going to be just anybody that's going to be able to keep power, to keep winning, to win that second term or even win a third term. And that's what we've got to look for, is somebody that can do that. And I don't think Gavin Newsom is that person.
I mean, he may not or may not, but ultimately it comes down to the voters. Like there's only so much messaging that people can do. People are going to have their preferences. Like even now, Harris is leading by a lot in a lot of polls. So
You said
even
Harris is leading?
Huh?
You said Harris is leading?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
And there was one crazy like thing. I think it was New York Times where they were talking about, hey, we want change. Like 80% of the people are voting for like, hey, we want change, and we want we want even socialist policies, and they're like, oh, who's your preferred candidate? And it's like, oh, it's Harris. So there's something that's like what that change candidate means. I don't know what that means to people. So that's
Yeah.
like the other difficulty.
Yeah. Well, yeah. No, that makes sense. That is weird in my opinion that she's, well, I think another issue that we have as Democrats is that our primary system is fucked.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it when people talk about 2016 and they say something like, "Oh well, Bernie couldn't even win in a primary. How could he have won a general election?" Well, those are two different electorates, and many states the primary are closed primary systems. Not all of them, but even still, who is actually turning out to vote in a primary? It's usually party members. So even if you have an open primary, you're still, by virtue of it being a primary, you're getting Democrats voting, and Democrats care much more about this other shit that this whole cohort of people that live in America and vote in America do not give a fuck about. So for the people who are saying I would vote for Harris in a primary, my guess would be, I don't know, I would need to see a focus group on this, would be, well, it's because she was Joe Biden's vice president. It's because she was she ran and she lost and she probably should have won. But that kind of thing, the independents that didn't show up in 2024 but did show up in 2020, they're not going to give two shits about that. They're just not. And that kind of thing. If the Democratic Party, if the voters go for that again, then we're fucked. In my opinion, we're just fucked. It's incredibly blackpilling for me.
I mean, I wouldn't like let it. I wouldn't like let it blackpill you too much because it's like at the end of the day, it just means there's work to be done. People have like it's people gotta make their case. You know, it's
Yeah, of course.
you know, we've got you know, it's still just 2026. You have you know like 1.5 years because usually around this time the primaries are over. We have 1.5 years to for people to start making their cases, and um, as far as right now, maybe Ossoff might run. I don't know about Buttigieg. AOC, I don't think she wants I don't think she wants to necessarily run for president yet. You know, but I could see her taking Schumer's seat because from what I heard last year, from like from what I heard last year, he's not even going to seek office again. But um,
Well, that's
yeah,
good.
it's
You know what? I can give Schumer credit. If he drops out, at least he's doing something that Biden couldn't do.
yeah. I mean,
So
yeah, like there's definitely a change into the guard. Elizabeth Warren, it might even be her last session too. I could see what's her name, Ayanna Presley having taken over her seat, or someone else. But yeah, it's like at the end of the day, it's like we're gonna have a primaries, and yeah, these primaries are gonna have primarily Democrats. People, if you're in a primary, you've got to think about it that way. You know, I think one of the things that would have helped Bernie a lot is if he'd been like, yes, I am a Democrat. You know, instead of just being um a
rip. I wonder if he's gonna come back.
all right. You hear me?
Yeah, the wife call again.
No, my phone died, but I have it plugged up now.
Okay.
I was saying one of the things that would have helped Bernie is if he would have focused on trying to win Democratic voters earlier than 2016. Um, because when it comes to especially like local people who are members of the Democratic Party, they pay dues, and a lot of times they do get upset when there's like somebody who's like, okay, um, you're trashing the party, you're not really trying to be a part of the party, but I'm paying money, and that money is going to be used to help you, even if you do have good fundraising. Ultimately, those party apparatuses and even uh, relationships with unions are going to be used. But like I think one of the biggest mistakes he made was not investing in Democratic Party members, and these are like hard. I'm not talking about Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all these people. I'm just talking about just regular people who just live in neighborhoods and they just decided to be part of the Democratic Party. And like even when it comes to say the black vote, also it's like you've been in Congress for about 30 years. There's no reason why there shouldn't be black churches who know your name. They should have some familiarity with you. Um, even because I remember the guy who's like over the poor people's campaign, Reverend Barber. He like said like Bernie, like you're not reaching out to people. And even when I was in 2020, when I was willing to be an advocate for him in Wisconsin, there was no party support for that. So he did really good with Hispanic voters, but
Wait, what do you
not
mean there
necessarily
was
good
no
with
party support for that?
there wasn't support from his campaign for like for particular states. Like with like say his campaign, he'll get like a certain amount of donors or small number donation from people who like his campaign. So like I'll send them money like $10, $20
Yeah.
so every month it'll be like from thousands of people across the country. Um from what I was hearing in places like Texas, where there was still a chance that he could have won that state in the primary. They said there just wasn't a lot of infrastructure for some of his black supporters who would have like campaigned for him.
So what would he
So
need to
like
do differently? Like, what would that look like if there was infrastructure there?
so with the infrastructure there, that means you're going to have to meet with local leaders there. You're going to have to see like, okay, who is the people that maybe are a part of the not just the local Democratic Party, but even like say local progressive caucuses, because like a lot of states have like progressive caucuses, and who are these people there, and just stay in contact with them, calling them, like having a way of talking and giving information, like hey, you know we think there's a bunch of people here in this and that we would like to support you. Let us know which neighborhoods that we could invest in for y'all to do like door knocking and campaigning for.
Do you have a theory of why that wasn't a thing for Bernie's campaign?
Um, I, I mean, I don't honestly, I don't know. If I think honestly, I really don't know. I can't think of a reason why he would do that or why he wouldn't invest in that. But if I'm guessing, I think what he probably was expecting was to gain enough momentum in the early states, which we have to also recognize these are lower population states too. So it's a little bit easier for you to do stuff there, but sometimes that doesn't translate into like a larger state like South Carolina, and you run into issues there when you end up going in that state. But beyond that, I do not know why he didn't necessarily um, reach out to a lot of like black supporters and progressive groups in certain states. So I don't know that.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure there was probably plenty of things that Bernie could have done differently that would have helped his campaign. Um, I mean, there's a lot of things that leftists and anti-establishment and change people could do differently that would be better in a lot of ways. Um, I give them more leeway because they don't have the power of like the establishment apparatus behind them. They don't have like Debbie Wasserman Schultz slipping them questions for the debate beforehand, or the media, the backing of the super delegates, which was like fucking an insane concept in my mind, especially back then. And the media apparatus making it out like, oh, it's already a done deal. Clinton's gonna win because she's got all these super delegates. So like, yes, there are things that they could have changed that would have been better, but also the headwinds for them to win, in my opinion, were pretty massive in the first place.
Now, I will say, um, Barack Obama was the outsider candidate in 2008.
He
Like
was,
there
yeah,
was there was a lot of there was a lot of favoritism towards Clinton even in 2008
yeah,
too. But it's um he was a little bit better of an organizer than Bernie. I remember there when I was in college at the time, and I was at a historically black college, and I remember there being some outreach there, for us, and that's why he ended up, you know, not just because of our school, but just that efforts like that helps him to win North Carolina,
yeah.
which is a kind of a pinkish state. So
So
uh yeah.
now was there as many headwinds for Obama as there was Bernie? Coming from the Democrats themselves, I know that they're like, societal wise, like what Obama did, being a black man, winning the primary against Hillary and winning the election, huge, gigantic. But like when it comes to like the party itself, that were they just as against Obama winning as they were Bernie?
I mean, in a way, yes, because he was so young. Like he'd only had like one term as a senator.
Yeah,
That's really where people kept attacking him at, is because his lack of experience. Um, whereas Clinton had like years of experience, and so there was favoritism. And honestly, it was more like a three-way battle between John Edwards, um, Hillary Clinton, and Barack Obama. And the scandal with Edwards, like I don't know exactly which one that helped a lot, but it definitely narrowed it down to Clinton and Obama. And initially Hillary had a lot of black support, but I believe after like winning in some of the states, he was able to get enough to where he was able to overcome Hillary Clinton, because it's like, oh, this guy can win, and he's very motivating, and things like that. So it's kind of like hard to put into context, because he actually did win his his primary against Clinton, and I know there were a bunch of Clintonites who really did not want to support him and were threatening to support McCain. But I also don't know necessarily how to quantify that as much as with Bernie Sanders.
um do you think that my assessment of 2016, so keep in mind, like, it could be completely off. I was, what, 20 years old then?
Mhm.
And doesn't sound like I was anywhere near as evolved in politics as you were. My assessment of 2016, where I think that Bernie Sanders would have had a better chance of winning in the general than Hillary Clinton. I think that he would have pulled together the people in the right places, more so than Clinton. Do you think that that's an accurate assessment?
That could be an accurate assessment simply because I think one of the big reasons why Hillary lost is because she was a little bit arrogant and she didn't campaign in any swing state, and I think Bernie would have.
Yeah.
And I know there was a lot of support for him in Wisconsin during the time. So like you're talking about a completely different campaign where you know she was kind of taking Trump for a joke, and because
He
it
is a
there
joke.
was a lot of a lot of yeah, but a lot of positive polling for her that seemed like she was kind of a shoe in, and she didn't do what she needed to do to win, and she didn't really do a good job of defending herself against a lot of the attacks from the right wing and from Trump. So yeah, I could see him winning just because it'd be a completely different campaign.
Yeah. Um.
But
Okay.
yeah.
Do you still volunteer? Do you still work with the party?
Yeah, I still do it. I'm able to do it more that my shift has changed. But it's like if you want to make a change to the party, sometimes the best way is to get involved.
Yeah.
You'd be amazed how just being in, just being in, a little bit of involvement takes you. Like I
Yeah.
started getting involved with like the party sometime late in 20 or early 2024, and by last year I'm already meeting the Governor Evers.
Oh,
And
nice.
so yeah, you'd be amazed how much area there is for people regardless of your age. And even in like there's a lot of say older people that are working in the Democratic Party because they have the time to do it, but they will have no issue handing over the reins to somebody who's young. Like,
Yeah.
like seniority is a problem with elected office. I wouldn't say that's a problem within the actual local and state DNCs.
Yeah. I mean, that's good. And I believe you. I believe that's true. I did look up. I recently moved to where I am, and I did look up a couple weeks ago what kind of Democratic organizations are around here, and I was very disappointed to find out that I'm only 2 years away from being disqualified as being considered a young Democrat. Um, the young Democrats will not accept me after 2 years from now.
Yeah, yeah. Like I don't know. I never like looked into the rules for that, but I'm a member of my state progressive caucus and black caucus.
Nice.
Um, in labor and environment. The the ones that I probably participate the most in are the Black and Progressive Caucus. I don't necessarily have the time to do everything, and so there's a lot of meetings that I've missed. But however, there's like the meetings are typically on Zoom, where like you're given information on some of the elections that are coming up, some of the candidates um, that are running, as well as local laws that can be problematic, and even state and national laws and how they can be problematic and affect you too. So, um,
Do you have
but
ambitions
yeah,
to run?
no. If anything, I would like to be part of it, helping like a candidate win, but I would not like to run.
Okay.
I don't really have a desire for office, but I would like to be I could see like being like either a campaign manager or like an assistant to a campaign manager.
Yeah.
So like right now, for Wisconsin governor, we've got Barnes running again. We've got the DSA candidate Hong. Um, we've got the lieutenant governor of Wisconsin also running. So it's like, I mean, I don't really like. I think if you were to hear them, you wouldn't have much negative to say about them because they are kind of talking about a lot of the issues. I think on a state level, they're a little. It's a little bit easier to kind of be have like a healthy criticism of the party because there is a unique difference between a state party and the federal party and the national party.
Okay.
I think that's also why, even though Virginia is having the issues that it's having right now, why they've had the successes they've been having with Don Scott and Abigail Spanberger. So yeah, but I think we the thing is like we need a lot more people involved, and sometimes our elections are sadly decided by the much more low information voters who are going to kind of vote on vibes. And so you're going to have a candidate who knows how to sneak past those vibes.
Yeah, that is a challenge that I don't have an answer for. I mean, I think that a lot of the things that I talk about with like authenticity and genuine candidates and speaking to like actual like real problems, the healthcare issues and affordability and all that stuff, like and education. I think that those things would help with low information voters. Um, but they're also very susceptible to like right wing propaganda, like the Uncle Sam coming in between a girl's legs while her legs are up in stirrups type things.
Yeah, the thing about right wing propaganda is it's very simple and it gives simple answers.
Yeah,
And sometimes with a lot of the answers we might have, they're not as simple, and you might just need a simple catchphrase to kind of um, you know, get the point across. You know, and I think it's going to be like I think some of the things that Democrats should focus on as far as being able to get your a message across, uh, the things you want to do. So like I think healthcare is a big one. I think ending the filibuster is another one.
I don't
Court
think they should run
reform.
on ending a filibuster. I think they should try to not talk about it.
Huh?
I don't think they should run on
Yeah, I
ending the.
mean, well, yeah, I guess if you say it like that, but I mean, yeah, like explicitly running on it um, has its own problems, and not everybody knows exactly what that means.
Like,
Um,
if
but
you want a message that will portray the idea that I will be willing to end the filibuster without having to explicitly running on it, you could just say I'm going to do what I need to do in order to pass my agenda. That could sound a little. You can make it sound a little
or
less
yeah,
authoritarian, but
like I'm gonna do what I need to take care of the American people and the past things that they need, like healthcare and what.
yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's so they've got to have like a balanced attack of saying the things that you're standing for and running on, as well as attacking Republicans in a way that makes their brand toxic. Like
Yeah,
I think the time for bipartisanship is kind of over, and I it'd be nice to have some who'd be willing to vote with Democrats on some things, but that's not really the case. Even people who fake like it, like a Josh Hawley, they're not gonna ever actually do it. So yeah, you like I said, if you want to attack Republicans, um, you can focus on Epstein. You could focus on um, the economy. There's a lot of points of attack for against the Republicans too. Uh, and
yeah,
when you do face difficulties and not being able to pass certain things in your agenda, like it's good what you said earlier about like saying, hey, like I'm not able to do this, but I'm still fighting for you. But also being able to say like, hey, all of these Republicans, none of these guys want you to have health care, because I think that was one of the big things that happened under Obama is like basically every Republican who opposed, universal health care in some way, shape, or form, or a public option, they were kind of rewarded for it. And then that's not a good thing.
yeah. Um, yeah. I think I'm all out of things to talk about. Did you have anything else?
No, I've got to like I mean, yeah, like I said, it's getting a little late for me. Probably like even later for you. But like, you know, you gotta go spend time with the wife. Because our anniversary is tomorrow, and so you gotta do all that and get ready for another long day at work. So yeah,
Okay. Well, happy anniversary to you and your wife, and have a good
you.
night.
All right, thanks.
All right, and thanks for coming and chatting, dude. It was good. Oh, I forgot to. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All right, I'm gonna go into Wick's channel and see if there is anything happening. Is he still streaming? He might have stopped streaming because he starts at 6, so I don't think he had a panel, so it probably was not a late stream. But he was talking about Virginia shit. Yeah, he's not live. Damn. Oh well. Hey, well, I wonder what Destiny's doing right now.
It's okay to change your opinion, yes, because you want to be correct, but you're not correct by just sitting there and being like, I'm correct. You're correct when the data, facts, whatever is in your side. Based.
Okay, I did have one thing that I wanted to ask about. So I might be debating Shervin on AI, and I'm a little bit terrified because I'm not used to debating, and I feel like Shervin talks a lot, and I feel like he talks in the shape of a cloud around the topic rather than trying to hone in on the thing that you want to talk about.
Okay.
Do
Write
you have
stuff
any
down.
like?
Take down notes as you're talking, so you don't forget the point. But also, I'm moderating that debate, so don't fuck up because now I know your weakness.
That is my weakness, and that's why I kind of want some advice to at least like because my worry is that he's going to talk. I'm not going to be assertive enough to tell him to be quiet and stop talking, and so he's just going to yap, and then
Well, that's what the moderator's there for.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm there for.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
take notes, write down things as you're on points, so you don't get moved off too much, and then go back if they try to move you off one. That's what I would say.
Call him a slur
How do
to
you
get him off his game.
how do you usually deal with like if you're debating someone and you have practiced a lot and you've read up a lot on the thing you're going to talk about, but then they go
All right.
into a territory where you're like not very familiar? Like I don't know if he were to go into like economics,
What?
very like
Oh, sorry. I should have had my shit muted.
I don't know. I haven't heard about
Yeah,
that.
just say I
Oh,
don't know. This
you're
isn't
good.
making the debate. Go back to the original topic.
all right.
Boom.
I guess I can do that. But what if he pulls that on me? Like, how do you defend against it?
What
It's
people what?
undefeatable. You can.
Okay.
I feel like debate is useless. Everybody was right when they said that. There's no point.
Okay.
You can do it. I believe in you. Okay. I'm going to sleep. Be
Right.
careful, guys.
Ah, he's leaving too.
I don't believe you're going to sleep.
I'm gonna go start drinking. That's what I need to do.
There you go.
My shit is fucked. Okay.
Woo-hoo.
The morning trauma. I'll go over the morning. Okay. Well, I need to take a just a break for today. Okay. All right.
Bye.
Be careful, guys.
Right. Bye.
Wait, you understand that? Like, I know I can't make you understand this, but like, we've watched like that was like one. That was like a shard of like a single script that's probably gone to thousands, if not tens of thousands of channels on just like 1% of like 1% of all this shit. This is our entire ecosystem is shaped by all of this type of shit. And it is not the ecosystem that's shaped by this. It could be people that watch stuff that become shaped by that ecosystem that then become reinforcing of said ecosystem. I'm sure that if we were to go through videos like that, we could find propaganda talking points that Kyle Kalinske ends up repeating. That like I know I alluded to earlier. I know that Israel that Israel-Palestine propaganda shit gets pushed by these motherfuckers too. Like, nobody over fucking Russia, China gives a fuck about Israel-Palestine, but it is the perfect divider mindfuck issue for the West. And again, look at the goals. Here's what you should be suspect of. It can't be an auto no. You can't automatically say, well, this guy hates America, oh, this guy's evil, or this guy's propaganda. But if it just so happens that every single goal that a person has is to weaken the West, and it will always benefit the adversaries of the United States of the West, that should just at least, like, give you pause, okay? Should at least give you pause. Like, if somebody comes up to you and they start talking shit on a friend of yours, it might be true, but, like, if it's a friend, like, hold on. Well, let's just, like, make sure, okay? Hold on, okay? That's my boy. Are you sure? Did he really do this? Really? So when you look at, like what are the asks for Israel-Palestine, right?
Ooh.
It's never peace between Israel and Palestine. The two-state solution has been abandoned. It's never pressure Israel to bring them more in line with what we consider more righteous, right? It's never any of these asks. It's abandon Israel, abandon Saudi Arabia, abandon the Middle East. Why? Well, if the U.S. retreats from that sphere, right, who enters, right? Russia or China or, I don't know, chaos or some other actor, Qatar, I don't know. It's not the United States anymore, right? Every single ask, if you look at all of the major policy asks for people like Hassan, for all of your Marxist-Leninists, for all of your MAGA people, every single ask is to make America or to make the West a weaker, less cohesive body of things, right? Can you believe that Kamala wanted us to have a lethal military? No, we gotta get rid of all that. We can't have a strong military. Why? You don't have a strong military? The fuck do you have a military? That's like it's like having a dull steak knife. If you're gonna have a knife, you should be sharp. What a stupid thing to say, right? Or we have to abandon all of our allies. We gotta get rid of all the globalism. We gotta get rid of all of the corporations and all of our large companies and everything. All of its evil, all of its bad, all of its. It's like, well, we're not proposing any alternatives to anything. It's just attack, and destroy. It's not. I'm just saying, you know. I don't know. Yeah, and then imagine like how much more difficult it is to fight against all these slop talking points when it's not coming from outside channels, and it's not just coming from English speakers from neighboring countries, and it's not just coming from English speakers in your own countries, and it's not just coming from politicians in your own countries, but now it's coming from political figures that other people are forcing you to accept into your movement, despite the fact that they are openly talking about their desire to subvert and destroy your entire political movement for the benefit of their ideological thing that would also be, by the way, in complete and total alignment with the goal of every foreign adversary to the United States, right? Again, remember, not to make myself part of this, you can put anyone else in, right? But like, Hassan has never been demonetized. Hassan has never been deplatformed. None of these people are generally ever, or none of these people are genuinely or significantly attacked by MAGA, by the right, by China or Russia or Qatar. You never see propaganda related to these people that's like significantly harmful to their careers. They're always just used as vectors to attack the rest of the Democratic Party. Every single time. Where is fucking that dumb fuck Morbler at? Where he's like, wow, Destiny, looks like the heat's really ramped up on Hassan. Looks like they actually are attacking him. Meanwhile, Hassan on his stream, you Asian fuck, why don't you go do some math, you little dick motherfucker? And go cry to your fucking parents who want you to overachieve. Like, holy shit, not a care in the world. Like, the biggest problem with all this stuff, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I'm done. I'm almost done. The biggest problem with all this stuff you have to understand too is that like, This is why I always feel like it's a gaslight too, okay? The conspiracy works like this to where the whole thing, like, this is the conspiracy, it's the whole thing, okay? All of it is like part of the conspiracy, but the way it actually works is like, this is the conspiracy right here, and then all the other people kind of like end up going along with it because it seems whatever. Remember how I would say like you've got like your tier 1 propagandists and then like I call them the believers, your tier 2 believers, is that a lot of the people out here, like the majority of, I'll use Hassan as an example again, the majority of Hassan fans, the vast majority of MAGA are not foreign propagandists. I I don't even know about the people on Fox News 100%. I don't know if they realize that they're like foreign propagandists that are committed to the destruction of this country and the Western world order. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not sure, but all of them can move because of a little bit of rocking up here, and because they will identify genuine talking points. You know, it's like when you have that like one friend in a group who's like super manipulative. Like they don't go to every single friend. Like if you ever have like a real fuck, I don't know how many of you guys know toxic people. If you like, you never have a group of people where there's one person and it's like, I need everybody to fucking hate John. Okay, you never this toxic friend never goes to every person in the group and goes, John, we got to get rid of him. We got to get rid of fuck John. Fuck this piece of shit. Okay, fuck John. We got to get rid of this motherfucker. They never go after John that way, right? They never go after John that way. Okay. And so if you're clever, right? If you're clever, you're thinking, okay, well, what do they actually do, right? They go to the person and say, whoa, I think John might not be okay. I think John might. No, no, no. They don't even say that. They don't even say shit like that. It'll just be offhand shit like, I think your car is like really cool or whatever. Yeah, I remember I was talking to John the other day. He said it was like shit or whatever. I defended it. I was like, oh, what do you mean? Like this car is like so cool. It's like the smallest little stupid fucking planting the seeds shit like this, and like just one person in a friend group. And if you've ever had one of these people, you've known them. Just one person in a group can make everything so toxic and fucking horrible. It's easier today on the internet. It was harder to do a long time ago because in real life, friend groups tend to audit friend groups more. Like you can't have crazy people around for too long because they just don't survive the friend group long. But online, you can like hide a lot more weird behavior. But yeah, it's just a lot of propagandists don't even know they are. But at the end of the day, what we really have to remember, I think I'm at 91%. Oh my fucking god. Where are we? Hold on. 90%. Okay. 90% completion. God. God damn.
This vault was meant to be spacious, full of trained staff, trusted subordinates, and scientists. Despite how things have played out, I see opportunity. Let us work together as partners.
What's my role?
I recognize that you are in a superior bargaining position. I'll handle the mundane nuts and bolts of vault management. Anything you want, I'm happy to accommodate. All I ask is you run the prototype experiments.
Oh. All right. I'll play this for a little bit. Mm-hmm. What is the Enterprise? What am I experimenting? I should have listened. I don't know if I want to help this lady out because apparently her shit is inhumane. And I'm playing a good guy. Why can't I? Damn, I was hoping I could get the sound to go through my headphones instead of my uh, it's gotta be done in the computer. Ooh, would you look at that? Let's see. Interesting. I've never seen that before. That one. What am I? What do I need? This needs 7, 7, 3, so 14, 15, 17, 4, 21, and 9. I need 30 more levels to get all of these. I'm already level 35. I need to be 65. That's a fool's errand. I think. Just get basic shit. Got 2 each. I'll wait till I level up 1 more and get all 3 of these. For more damage. For more damage. What does she need me to do? Data. Build the overseer's desk. Where did all those resources come from? But I do want to keep the aluminum floors. I can use them to make Wait, can I scrap them for aluminum? Aluminum was a pain in the ass to get. No. Oh, that doesn't say aluminum. That says atrarium. What do I build an atrarium floor? Metal, concrete, warehouse, barn, vault. Aquarium. Aquarium floor. Yeah. I wonder if this would even work in here. What I want to do is, can I build cages in here? No, damn. Damn. Never mind. What a waste. Alright, you can have your stupid desk now.
Finally, my overseer's desk. And a proper Volt Tech terminal. This. Please. I beg your indulgence. I've waited so long. But we must not dally. The work compels us. The vault was supposed to have a very specific set of residents. After all, to conduct human trials, you need the perfect test subjects. This. Please, I beg your indulgence. I've waited so long.
And I'm not going. Only while she's talking. Turn to the overseer.
Excuse me.
This. Please, I beg. This.
Shh.
Please, I beg your indulgence. I've waited so long. But we must not dally. The work compels us. The vault was supposed to have a very specific set of residents. After all, to conduct human trials, you need the perfect test subjects.
So what makes perfect test subjects?
Healthy. Well, healthy enough. And people we can get an accurate baseline on quickly. And they need a willingness to take on a certain element of risk.
I'm not gonna toy with people's lives.
Think of the greater good here. But fine. You're running the experiments. If you choose a risk-free path, it will compromise the value of the research. But that's on your head. Choose wisely. Now, turn on the vault's radio beacon. Certainly people above ground would give anything to live in our vault. While we wait for word to spread, perhaps you might use this time to explore Vault 88. If you can clear some of the rubble, any materials or equipment that survived may prove useful in our experiments.
She's creepy. What do I do with dead bodies? Hey, scrap them? No. I'm creepy. I'm taking this vault for everything it's worth. Do 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 do. I wonder if I can send somebody down here to make this a supply line. Wow, shit, I can use them on other settlements here. I don't want to. Ooh. Certainly don't want to have to carry it all back. But why is this not a part of the vault? And what will I find down here? I think all this should be a part of the vault. Why do I not get this? Ooh, oh. Those aren't fun. I don't like you.
Someone there?
Oh gosh! Oh gosh! They're not dying.
Strong crush you! Ah, I'm hearing stuff.
They're a lot stronger than I thought. Let's get
Living take what dead leave.
some more rat teeth. See, like, this should be a part of the vault. There's a whole vault construction shit here. Ridiculous. I need more shotgun shells. Ooh, what is this? Ah. 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 They're glowing.
Rats. Strong will crush.
Alright, we're going big guns. Yep. Die. 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 At least I'll have plenty of food when I'm done with this. Although I don't even know how much health roasted mole rat meat gives. Probably not much, to be honest. Look, see, there's a whole vault. Go up and everything. What is going on? Where am I now? I shouldn't have taken that.
Yes.
Why was I looking for that?
Hey.
Strong can carry for you.
Hey.
This what strong carrying for human.
Wait. What the
Hey.
Why do I have 350? That thing actually... A control board? That V? Vault Tech lunchbox. The hell did I just pick up?
Need strong to smash something.
That's zero weight, so why? All this is 0.8. Why am I at 352? That doesn't make sense.
Heads up.
What?
Talk to me like
You
that.
share with Strong?
What, 5 pounds? You know what? This shit. I got a lot of them. And I could probably be carrying a lot less. Are stealth boys heavy? No? Alright, good. I got a whole... Oh!
Afraid of Strong.
I'm afraid of them. Good gosh. Fire. Fire!
Thank you!
Where'd the star one go? Oh, there it is. Lucky Knuckles. Critical shots do double damage and critical meter feels faster. Why would that be a medium weapon? Speed-wise. What a waste. What the hell? This place is huge. Am I still in Vault 88? Yeah. This is still Vault 88. Oh, I don't like that feeling. All right. I'm done for the night. Y'all have a good night.